Heading: Hazardous Waste Management Rules, 2016. First point: hazardous and other wastes, management and transboundary movement rules, 2016 were notified by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Second point: these rules provide guidelines for safe handling, storage, transportation, recycling, treatment, and disposal of hazardous wastes. Third point: the main aim of these rules is to ensure environmentally safe management of hazardous and other wastes. Heading: Hazardous waste. First point: hazardous waste is waste that has physical, chemical, biological, toxic, corrosive, reactive, flammable, or explosive properties. Second point: it can cause danger to human health and the environment if not properly managed. Third point: examples include chemical waste, industrial waste, batteries, solvents, and waste oils. Side heading 2: Sources of hazardous waste. First point: industrial sources. Chemical industries, petroleum industries, pharmaceutical industries, and manufacturing units generate hazardous waste. Second point: medical sources. Hospitals and laboratories generate hazardous chemicals and contaminated materials. Third point: household sources. Batteries, paints, pesticides, and cleaning chemicals can generate hazardous waste. Heading: Importance of proper hazardous waste management. Side heading 1: Protection of human health. First point: proper management prevents exposure to toxic substances. Second point: it reduces health risks such as diseases, poisoning, and injuries. Side heading 2: Environmental protection. First point: it prevents contamination of air, water, and soil. Second point: it protects ecosystems and biodiversity from harmful chemicals. Side heading 3: Resource recovery. First point: proper management allows recycling and recovery of useful materials. Second point: it reduces the need for new raw materials. Side heading 4: Legal compliance. First point: proper management helps industries follow environmental laws and regulations. Second point: it prevents penalties and environmental damage. Heading: Problems of unscientific disposal of hazardous and other waste. Side heading 1: Soil contamination. First point: hazardous chemicals can enter the soil and reduce its quality. Second point: toxic substances may remain in soil for long periods. Side heading 2: Water pollution. First point: hazardous waste dumped on land can contaminate groundwater. Second point: it affects aquatic organisms and reduces water quality. Side heading 3. Air pollution. First point. Burning hazardous waste releases harmful gases and toxic fumes. Second point. It can cause respiratory problems and environmental damage. Side heading 4. Health hazards. First point. Exposure to hazardous waste can cause diseases, poisoning, and genetic problems. Second point. Workers handling waste without safety measures are at high risk. Side heading 5. Damage to ecosystems. First point. Toxic substances can accumulate in plants and animals. Second point. It disturbs ecological balance and biodiversity. Side heading 1. Objectives of the rules. First point. To ensure safe and scientific management of hazardous and other wastes. Second point. To minimize environmental and health risks caused by hazardous waste. Third point. To promote recycling, reuse, and recovery of waste materials. Side heading 2. Responsibilities of waste generators. First point. Waste generators must handle hazardous waste safely. Second point. They must obtain authorization from the concerned State Pollution Control Board. Third point. They must maintain records and submit required reports. Side heading 3. Waste management process. First point. The rules cover collection, storage, packaging, transportation, treatment, recycling, and disposal of hazardous waste. Second point. Waste should be managed using environmentally sound methods. Heading. Salient features of hazardous and other wastes, management and transboundary movement, rules, 2016. Side heading 1. Inclusion of other wastes. First point. The rules include both hazardous waste and other wastes. Second point. Other wastes include materials like waste tires, paper waste, metal scrap, and used electronic items that can be recycled or reused. Side heading 2. Waste management hierarchy. First point. The rules follow the priority order of prevention, minimization, reuse, recycling, recovery, co-processing, and safe disposal. Side heading 3. Authorization requirement. First point. Industries handling hazardous waste must obtain authorization from the State Pollution Control Board. Second point. Authorized facilities must follow prescribed safety procedures. Side heading 4. Safe transportation and storage. First point. Hazardous waste must be properly packed, labeled, stored, and transported. Second point. This prevents accidents and environmental contamination. Side heading 5. Recycling and resource recovery. First point. The rules encourage recycling and recovery of valuable materials from waste. Second point, it reduces waste generation and promotes sustainable development. Side heading 6. Transboundary movement control. First point, the rules regulate import and export of hazardous wastes. Second point, international movement of waste is controlled to prevent environmental harm. Side heading 7. Role of pollution control boards. First point, state pollution control boards monitor compliance with hazardous waste management rules. Second point, they inspect facilities and take action against violations.